All right, gang. Well, welcome back to week 3 of the life and legacy of George Washington. So far, we have examined George Washington from the standpoint of his youthful endeavors as a surveyor, his childhood, and how that sort of molded the man he would become. His time as a young soldier as part of the French and Indian War, and how some of the failures that he experienced would have shaped the future general that he would become, right? And then in week 2, we focused on the role of Washington as planter, and we delved into the property of Mount Vernon and the surrounding areas and all that went into maintaining that, from the slaves that worked the fields to the trades that were done, including the grist mill and the distillery, which were interesting to see. And really, how that was another sort of layer of Washington that we got to see through that. And then this week, we're going to focus on really Washington's role as general, okay? And we're going to sort of do that by focusing on different elements of Washington as general. And it's going to be sort of a daunting task to take on the entire American Revolution in one class, but we're gonna get through this, right? So we'll talk a little bit about how we got to revolution, the road to revolution. We'll talk about some of the early years of the struggles that went in at Boston and New York and Trenton and Princeton, which we famously know about, right? We're going to focus on Valley Forge and Yorktown primarily, and then look at what happens at the end and the legacy that Washington looks to pursue by voluntarily giving up his command and his power, right? Which is another way of speaking of this idea of Washington as the American Cincinnatus. Cincinnatus was a Roman figure who won a major war for Rome and was offered anything he wanted in the way of power and wealth and fame. And he decided to choose to go home and farm. And that's exactly what Washington did as well. So we'll take a look at that. But we will start our class today, as we start all of our classes. I have a link in here for how well do you know, not necessarily the American Revolution, but Washington's military background. So that will include not only the French and Indian War, but also the American Revolution. So go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll come back and we'll start to set the table for how the American Revolution unfolded. All right. So I'm going to stop my share here, stop the recording. Good luck on your quiz. Again, not graded, but if you want to share with me your results, you may do so. All right, guys, good luck.